and a very warm welcome to this event here at the 29th Abu Dhabi International Book Fair. For those of you who haven't been here before, perhaps a little bit of background, just 1 second. The first ever Abu Dhabi International Book Fair was a much smaller affair. It was held in a Bedouin tent on the sand and was attended by Sheikh Zayed himself. So this important international book fair has a very strong tradition of the transmission of culture, of language, of knowledge. So we are standing on the shoulders of giants. It is my great honor and my great pleasure on behalf of the book fair to welcome you to this book launch held with the agreement and under the patronage of His Excellency Navdeep Suri, India's ambassador to the United Arab Emirates, and featuring the author Preeti Shenoy on her book Wake Up, Life is Calling, and she will be in conversation with Ravi Menon. Would you please give a very warm welcome to Preeti Shenoy and Ravi Menon. Thank you very much. Good luck. Have a lovely event.
Can I invite His Excellency Navdeep Suri on the stage to launch the book.
This is always the most exciting moment for the author because it's like sending a new baby out into the world, you know. Thank you so much, sir, for launching the book.
I think Preeti doesn't require an introduction. She's a best-selling author. Much of her life has been written about. However, it's nice to start from the very beginning again. So Preeti, I got to ask you, what are the early beginnings of your writing career? I believe you're a blogger. You also paint.
Yes.
You're a dancer.
Yes.
Multifaceted. So writing, take us through your early beginnings.
So actually it's a misconception. Everyone thinks that I started a blog and from there I just catapulted into fame, you know. That's actually a huge misconception. The fact is I have always written. Ever since I learned how to write, I have written. And my first book was at the age of, can anyone tell me what my age was?
8.
Yeah, at the age of 8 because he saw the interview. He saw one of my earlier interviews. So my first book was at the age of 8, but it wasn't that I was a child genius or anything of that sort. It was 8 pages long, and 4 of those, 4 pages was a story, and 2 pages were illustrations. So that it was 6 pages long, in fact. So that was my first book, and ever since then, I have always written. Whenever there was a competition, whenever there was a writing competition at university level, I won prizes for all of it. And I knew that I always wanted to be a writer, but I wasn't sure that I would be successful or even my first book would be published. So for that, I'm grateful. So, and in 2011 was my second book, which is now, you know, really famous, Life is What You Make It. And Wake Up, Life is Calling is a sequel to that book. The first book was published in 2008. Then 2011, I had my second book. And after that, every year since then, I've had a book. So that's how my, writing journey was.
We were backstage and discussing about Nielsen ratings and what is a bestseller. It was an eye-opener to me that Nielsen keeps track of the ratings every week. And as of this week, she's been rated number 3
Yes.
for her one book, number 5 another book.
Yes.
And strangely enough, the book she wrote in 2011 we're now in 2019, and it's still rated as one of the best books
Yes.
to be read. So
Yes.
can you take us through this whole bestseller? What does it constitute? How do you get there? Is it a constant pressure
Yes.
to be on that big list?
So week after week, Life is What You Make It, it's iconic. You know, week after week, it continues to come in the Nielsen bestseller list, and I'm really grateful for that. So when Amazon came to India, okay, how many of you have seen the Amazon ads? Have any of you seen the Amazon ads? So when they came to India, they had this ad which said, or dikhao, okay, and a guy is, waving a book. So, and that book, if you look carefully, it's my book. It's Life is What You Make It. So, and that book, incidentally, it wasn't easy to get published. So, I had my first book out in 2008, and that met with moderate success. At that time, it was called 34 Bubblegums and Candies. Now it's been relaunched as Love a Little Stronger. So, and then I wrote my second book. So I was based in UK at that time, and I came across these stunning images by artists, and I got to know later that they had, it was a Bipolar Artists Association. So that got me interested in bipolar disorder, and I went to NIMHANS, I did my research. When I traveled back to India, I spoke to doctors, I met a psychiatric nurse, I met so many people, relatives of people who are suffering with bipolar disorder. And then I wrote Life is What You Make It. And that book got rejected more than 35 times. Nobody wanted to publish it. So I must be the only author who got rejected, not only in India, but also in UK. So it was very hard because, no one wanted to publish such a story. So what essentially I had done is the story of a young girl, Ankita. Okay, she is the smart, stunning, fabulous girl who's topping her courses, who becomes a college bearer, and 6 months later, she's a patient in a mental hospital. She has bipolar disorder. And the book deals with her struggles to overcome that disorder, and written in a very relatable way. And that book today has sold more than close to 1 million copies. So it's translated worldwide, and so then every year after that I had a book. So that was the book which catapulted me into fame. And then after that, now, after 8 years, I have written Wake Up, Life is Calling, which is the sequel to that first book. Meanwhile, in between, I had 8 other books. I had The Secret Wish List, The One You Cannot Have, Rule Breakers, and many more. Why We Love the Way We Do, which is a non-fiction book. So I had several books, and now I have come back to Ankita.
Now, on the same book, I just want to spend a little more time. The main protagonist, Ankita, is there.
Yes.
Then there's Parul,
Yes.
Janki,
Yes.
there's Joseph, and a Vaibhav.
Yes.
How much of all this is based on some random but yet relevant characters or experience you've had? And what I'm saying, is it completely pulled out of your head, or is it because you had an encounter or you met somebody who resembled these characters and you put flesh on them?
So like all writers, I borrow from real life. So I have borrowed heavily from people I have known. So I knew a person like Parul, I knew a person like Janki, I know people like Vaibhav, I know someone like Joseph. So they're all, they've all are people at whom I have probably met at some point of time, but it's not a conscious process. It's not like, I'll sit there and think, oh, I know this person, I'll turn him into a character in my book. It doesn't happen that way. So somewhere it's the amalgamation of, people I have met, experiences I've had, and when I write, it's subconscious. It just flows. It just flows and it just comes to me.
How important is observational skills in the sense that small little things that you notice? A lot of people don't notice it, but you notice it. And then you use these little aberrations or angularities and then sort of put more meaning to it. How do you go about, the craft of it, in the sense that you find somebody is quite normal, but yet you're able to find out something abnormal about the person.
Yes. Yes, not abnormal. I would say I would probably be able to get into their heads.
Abnormal is not wrong word, but I'm saying different.
Yes, I do, because see, I am very observant. I'm also an artist. I'm an illustrator. So those of you who want to check out my art can go to my Instagram handle, Preeti Shenoy Art, and you can check out my art. So usually it would be that if I meet a person, I would have noticed everything about that person, what they're wearing, how they behave, a peculiar mannerism, all of it I'm silently taking notes. So as I speak to, I'm probably taking notes about each one of you. Probably one,
Are you taking notes for me?
red kerchief in the pocket, your footwear matching that. So, yes.
So
So it's a subconscious process, honestly.
So I saw on YouTube before this,
Right.
where I was talking to her backstage. On that, the Doordarshan lady is interviewing her. And somewhere down the line, she says she's essentially an illustrator and a painter. And then to make this point, she looks at her and says that the distance between your eyebrow and your eye and your nose. So she gets completely self-conscious, the lady. And then she says, it's not about you, it's in general. My skills are such that I look at these little points and then use it in my book.
I do, because see, I have done a course in portraiture from the UK, and we were trained to do that, So when we meet a person, so how do you draw a resemblance? So you study the person's features. So you see the distance between your hair and your eyebrow. You see the distance between the eyebrow and the eye, because only these details will make your portrait accurate. So I think crafting a character is like that. You observe the person, so all of us have motives, and we are not conscious how we come across. But our body language speaks volumes. Okay, so if you observe a person's body language, and if you observe why are they doing this, why do they behave the way, what drives them? Essentially, I'm interested in what drives people. Okay, what makes you want to get out of bed each morning and face the world?
Can you spend some time on the craft, the writing skills, the ability to do descriptive writing? How do you get characters, put life into them? Can you just spend a little time on the craft as such? Because as we discussed backstage, there are people who are able to write books which are page turners.
Yes.
And there are others who are critiques' choice, but nobody reads them.
Yes.
In fact, if I could make an observation, Jack Straw, Foreign Secretary, was asked about Salman Rushdie. And he made this very remark saying that Rushdie is kept in libraries, nobody reads him. Do you believe in that, or is it?
I like Rushdie. In fact, not all his books, Harun and the Sea of Stories, I absolutely loved. It was brilliant. It was brilliantly written, but not all his books, So I guess it depends on what you want to do with your writing. So there are some writers who will write in a very elaborate manner. Like suppose they just want to tell you that the person's eye color is blue. There'll be like 3 paragraphs, leading up to that. All it could be distilled in one sentence. Her eyes were blue. So her eyes were blue, the color of ocean. Probably that's what I would write. But then there are these people who would write, say, 3 pages just to get to that one. And I find it tiresome. I find that kind of writing tiresome. And I think that kind of, in fact, I read a lot of books. So this year I'm reading 100 books. And I'm sharing each book that I read on my Instagram. If you go to preeti.shenoy, you'll find a highlight there. So I just read a classic by Kate Chopin, The Awakening, which is a prescribed reading for so many. But I was very honest about it. I said, it's a brilliant book, it's well written, but it's so tiresome. You have to kind of make that effort to read the book. So for me, if you are a whiskey connoisseur, it should be like fine whiskey. It should be smooth. It goes down smoothly. So I honestly believe that, and I try to achieve that in my writing. So
do these names mean anything at all? The name that you use, Ankita.
Yeah.
For example, Rushdie's one book.
Yes.
I go back to Rushdie because there's one name he uses to describe in a roundabout fashion the Shiv Sena chief. And he uses a very crude expression. So is the name of the character important, or you just pull it out of the hair?
No, for me it's so important. I spend hours, naming my character, because in one of my books, it happens for a reason. There's a veterinary doctor in the book, and I had named him Subodh. Okay, and then that name was not working for me. I don't know why it was not working. It wasn't just working. He didn't sound like a Subodh. So it sounded, it sounded different. Then I changed his name to Saurav, and suddenly he came alive. So his personality came alive. So it's all in the writer's head. But for me, that process is very important. He's not just A, because I'm creating somebody. I'm giving them life. So their name is important, where they went to school is important, what they do in their spare time is important, what toothpaste they use is important. But the reader you as a reader will not get to see those details. So these are like behind the scenes what I do. So that's why my characters feel very alive. They feel whole. They feel real. Why? Because I have worked on fleshing them out. I have worked on giving them life. So that's what it is. It's very important for me.
When you start the book, do you have an idea how you're going to end it? Do you have in your mind the entire narrative rolled out, or does it just move by itself?
No, for me, there are two kinds of writers. Either they can be plotters or they can be pansters. I'm a plotter. So I will know what is happening in the first chapter. I will know what's happening in the fifth chapter. I'll know what's happening in the seventh chapter. I'll know the ending. But, it so happened that sometimes the characters don't listen to me. And it sounds, the first time that it happened, I thought I was going mad when I was writing. I said, what is this like? And if I tell this to a non-writer, they probably will not get it, They'll say, you are writing it. How can the characters not listen to you? It sounds like a mad woman talking. But then when I spoke to my other writer friends, I felt normal. They said, yeah, it happens all the time because characters take a life of their own. And then you have to slowly rein them in and bring them back to do what you want them to do. So the process is both, it's conscious as well as subconscious. And at one point I had said this, that for writing this book, it almost felt like it's flowing through me. It's coming from somewhere on top and it's flowing through me. And it just felt like Ankita is sitting in my head and telling me to write her story. And that translates into, that people tell me that when they read this book, it's just been launched, I've been getting several messages, they tell me they cried. They could feel what she felt. And I feel that's because of this. So maybe I can read.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah,
in fact, read a few portions of it so that.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll read the prologue of the book, so it will give you some idea of what I'm talking about. I sit on the windowsill, staring out at the parking lot, so utterly alone as I watch people going about their daily lives. I dread waking up in the morning, having to face another day. The book I'm attempting to read lies next to me. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. The hours stretch on endlessly. I have been trying hard to finish an assignment due when college reopens, but I'm unable to focus. I feel inadequate, worthless, inferior. I should have never joined this creative writing course. I have no original ideas really. Even my professor said so. I'm just a sham, a pretender. Someone who couldn't do her MBA and joined this course just to escape. All of this is so pointless and painful. Today is a holiday, but soon I will have to go back to college and face them. I don't want to. I want to stay where I am. A thought hisses and spits in my head like a snake. Drop out of this course. This is not for you. The more I think about it, the surer I am. I'm considering how to tell my parents that I want to drop out a second time. That's when I hear the door to my room open. I know it's my father. I sit up straight. Not the medication again. I'm sure I'm unable to think because of the damn medicines. My parents insist that I take them. But my head feels heavy when I do. My tongue becomes so thick that I'm unable to talk. I'm unable to think. Please go away. I don't want to take it, I say even before he speaks. Look, I spoke to Dr. Neeraj, and he says you can take these. They helped you earlier, didn't they? It was all good, remember? Says my father, as he stands there with the pills in his hand. It was good, not because of the medicines, but because I tried hard, I reply. Of course you tried hard. Now be a good girl and take these, says my father as he extends his hand. No, no, no. My fists are clenched into tight balls and I refuse to meet my father's eye. I don't want to look at him. Or at my mother, who is right behind him. I can't stand the helpless expression on their faces, the pleading looks, the panic, but mostly it's the depth of their love that I can't bear. They don't deserve this. I've had enough. I cannot face them anymore. I don't want to be a part of any of this. I have given them enough pain the last 1 year when I was to be admitted, when I had to be admitted in a mental hospital. Please, Ankita, my father pleads. I detest the whine in his voice. Don't say anything. Don't enter my room. Get out, I yell, my eyes blazing, my voice high-pitched. It's as though there's another person speaking from within me. Listen, Ankita, if you don't take the medication, you will become worse. Don't you remember what happened? My father says in a calm voice. I remember every single thing. Please, Ankita, just this one tablet. Take it, please. My father refuses to give up. Get the fuck out now, I scream. Watch your words, my mother yells at me. If there is one thing she cannot stand, it's my talking back, refusing to do as I am told. You shut up, I yell back at her louder. I'm shaking in rage now. I pick up a paperweight and I fling it at my father. It catches him by surprise, hits him on the forehead. He drops the pills he's carrying, his hand going up instinctively to his forehead. I watch impassively as the blood gushes out from the skin split open. His face contorts in pain. You witch! Look at what you have done, my mother screams as she rushes forward to help him. He has backed off now, wincing in pain, clutching the handle of the door. My mother rushes to the fridge to get some ice. I'm still standing there, rooted to the spot, staring at him. I cannot believe I did this. I watch as he leaves my room. Then I shut the door. I fling myself on the bed and weep loudly, my veil smothered by the pillow. I don't want them to hear me cry. My body heaves as I shout into the pillow, crying, sobbing. I don't recognize the primeval noises coming from deep within me. I clutch the pillow hard. I hate what I'm doing to my parents. I want this to end. How much more do I have to endure? How much more? Weren't all those months at the hospital enough? This is unfair, unfair, unfair. I recall the months at the hospital, the electric shock treatments, the occupational therapy, my life there, and how I struggled to read to get back to normalcy. I thought I had won. I thought I had succeeded. I thought I had conquered my mind. I thought all this was behind me. I thought I had overcome all of it, but how wrong I was. The monster I presumed to have defeated has come back with a vengeance. The pills my father dropped are lying by the door. I hate them. I've had enough of medication, doctors, psychiatrists. I don't want any more of it. A small voice of reason in my head speaks up. Take the tablet. Take them, it says. I know if I don't take them, I'll probably have to be admitted once more. My father is right. But the medication takes away everything, makes me numb, drowsy, not myself, wipes away my thoughts, empties my imagination. It's supposed to help me, but all it does is kill me from inside. I'm frightened now. If I could lose control like that and hurt my father, there is no telling what I will do next. I pick up the pills and I walk out of the room. My father is sitting on the sofa with an ice pack to his head. My mother glares at me. I am sorry, Dad. I will take the medication. I choke on my words. Are you hurt? It's nothing, Ankita. Just a small cut, he says. I start crying again. I know there's no escape now. I have been getting progressively worse. Please make an appointment. Take me to the doctor, I say. My worst fears have come true. The nightmare has started once again. Trapped in my body, trapped in my head. I am my own prisoner. There is no escape.
Fantastic. Before anything else, there is a portion I want to read from the book, those passages. Before we go there, I want to ask you two questions. One on mercy killing.
Yes.
You spent considerable time on that. It's a fairly controversial subject.
Yes.
The legal point of view is there. So you seem to be suggesting that mercy killing is acceptable and should be taken resort to. But the legal fraternity thinks otherwise. Could you dwell a little bit more on this?
So I don't want to give away spoilers, but and the book actually doesn't dwell on mercy killing. It's just the side story of a character who happens to be there. And my view is that it's not wrong to want to die. Honestly, it's not wrong. But what I also strongly believe is there is a better way to live. And there should be someone to show you a better way. Okay, living is your choice, dying is your choice. But if you can live life to the fullest, if you can take everything that life has to offer you, if you can see the beauty in each moment, then you have lived. Then you don't have to think about dying, and that's the core message of the book. So there are some who, of course, choose, death because they feel that's the choice they can make at that moment in their lives. But I do feel it's just this fleeting moment because Ankita herself does have suicidal thoughts. She does attempt suicide twice in the first book. She escapes. So I think it's a fine thing, and I think to that extent, I think this book is inspirational because Ankita writes these little notes to herself, okay? Because she wants to, in fact, she's counseling herself. She's pacifying herself, and those little notes are scattered throughout the book. And I always feel choose life, not death, and that's the message of the book. Though it's your choice, both are your choice. Dying is your choice, living is your choice. How you live is up to you.
One last question before we go to the next segment. Bipolar disease,
Yes.
I notice when I speak to the people who know about it, they have their highs and their lows.
Yes.
The lows are so depressing that they don't want to take the medicine.
Yes.
However, the need, the high is so good, it's like getting buzzed up.
Absolutely,
alcohol
yes.
sort of a thing. And therefore, if they take the medicine, they lose out on that.
Yes.
So is that why do they dislike taking the medicine? Because it's so, shall I say, you get addicted to this high that you don't want to lose it.
See, from what I understand from my research, I have spoken to a lot of people, not just with bipolar disorder. I have spoken to people with schizophrenia. I've spoken to people with depression. Nobody wants to admit that there's something wrong with me. See, if you have a cut on your hand, you can see that cut. You can see that it's healing. If you've twisted your ankle, you can feel that pain. But when your pain inside your head is so much, no one can see it. So they feel, why should I take this medicine? It's fine. Why should I take it? And then, and on top of that, again, I have dealt with that in the book. So psychiatry is such a subject that if I have that condition, you have the condition. Suppose we both have malaria, then the doctor gives us medication. It works on our bodies in the same way. But psychiatry is such a medicine that you have the condition, I have the condition. They give you that medication, they give me that medication, but it will not work in the same way. Because there are so many other factors, which it's not an exact science. There are so many other factors. Your mind is so, it's so tender. It's like a switch. And that line is this thin between being here and being there. And that's what my first book illustrates. And I think that's why a lot of people can relate to my first book. And a lot of people are able to relate to the second, because it's such a thin line that we are treading every single day. What's the guarantee that, today we are all sitting here, what's the guarantee by the end of the day you will not have a nervous breakdown? There's no guarantee. And if you have a nervous breakdown, you won't be able to get up tomorrow and face your day. You won't be able to go to work. You won't be able to talk to your colleagues. You won't be able to talk to your family members. It's that thin. So people resist medication because they don't see it's working. Sometimes it's wrong medication given, because in Life Is What You Make It, she was given the wrong medication. And it was hell. Then she met a psychiatrist who managed to diagnose and give her the correct medication. So that's why there is a strong resistance towards medication.
I think the book has got a few sections where the distal wisdom of whatever she's saying is there. So I'd like her to read a few parts of that this section, which gives you the essence of it.
Yes, so what happens is throughout the book, Ankita, to make herself feel better, writes these little notes to herself. So I would like to read out a note which Ankita writes in her journal. This is note number 9, which comes towards the end of the book. I took out my notebook and wrote note number 9. Life is difficult. It might give you a few things. You might even be happy for a while as you achieve whatever goals you set to achieve. A college degree, a job, a nice house, and maybe even marriage to your dream partner. Life keeps you busy with mundane things and you chug along, happy to receive that promotion, happy to move into a bigger house, drive a better car, earn more money. Eventually, life comes to collect. It takes away everything that means the most to you. It takes away your youth, and if you're not careful, your health, your peace of mind too. In the course of your life, you eventually lose your grandparents, then your parents, perhaps you even lose a spouse or a child. How then do you go on? What meaning can you derive from it all? How do you overcome the debilitating grief of losing all that you hold dear? Face the grief, acknowledge it, accept that it exists. Cry if you must, but limit it to 10 minutes or maybe 20. After that, do things that heal your soul. Find out what satisfies you on a deeper level. Perhaps it's growing a beautiful garden, or practicing music or art, or anything that you forgot in your minutiae. Make life more meaningful. To make life more meaningful, we need to create a treasure trove of memories that will keep us strong. We need to find our own little sops that comfort us. More than anything, we need to find beauty even when there is none. It exists always. We need to know where to look. So this is the note, and then she goes on to say, I knew I had captured in the note all that I had learned that day at Mrs. Hayden's place. I was also deeply moved that she trusted me such a lot. So throughout the book, certain incidents happen to her, and then she sits back and she reflects, and then she writes these notes. What did I learn today? And she makes these notes, and it's like this little pill that she's giving herself, So.
The other interesting thing is that at the end of the book, you refer to the chapters. Each chapter is a musical piece you heard or listened to.
Yes.
Was that something that, quite a unique creative thing.
Yes.
How did that come about? I mean,
So actually, I have done this in one of my other books. So in fact, there's something unique. I have written 12 books so far, all novels, all the novels. So none of them have chapter titles. It's all 1, 2. But life is what you make it. I didn't know any better. It was the first novel that I was writing. So, and it was I had intended it as a young adult book. And I did not expect it that, people from all age groups would read it. So I had given chapter titles to that chapter. No, I was writing this after 8 years. So then my editor said, listen, if you have given chapter titles in the first one, you better give chapter titles in this one too. And in one of my other books, I had done this, where I had given names of popular songs as chapter title. So I said, okay, anyway, I have to give the chapter title, so let me have some fun doing it, It was because such a difficult subject to write. It's on mental health. It's like you have felt the intensity, like when I read the passages, you can feel how intense it is. So I decided to have a little fun. So I said, I'm going to give the title, but it should be relevant to the chapter. So I have given nice songs, and I felt happy doing that. Finding those songs, like some of them are modern songs like Call Me Baby by Kali Ray Jasmine, which the young people will, of course, like. And then there's Killing Me Softly, A Kind of Magic by Queen, Total Eclipse of the Heart, Bonnie Tyler, People our age probably would remember that. John Lennon, Starting Over, Like a Virgin Madonna. So I just had fun doing that. And that's worked well, I'm glad.
just the fact that, if a book is made into a film, it's a huge hit. You get a much wider audience.
Yes.
Do you keep that in mind when you write a book? That
Never.
Is there a potential?
Never. Because then, if I did that, I would be thinking of some Salman Khan or Akshay Kumar or something of that sort. I wouldn't be able to write. So I don't even think of who is going to read it. I don't think of movie rights or TV adaptations. And I don't even think of the reader, because I am just being true to my craft. So I'm a different person when I write. I am not on social media. I don't talk to people. I'm sitting in my cave, and I have a large dog, by the way. She's my little baby, so she sits beside me, and my hand is on her, and then I'm writing. So I don't think of anything when I write.
But surely it helps to have a book which can be adapted. What I'm saying, you may not start with that in your mind, but it surely helps to keep a narrative which is adaptable over different media. Isn't that a big help?
See, what happens is when the book becomes a bestseller, like I have been approached by so many filmmakers, and that's an entirely different process altogether. Then someone writes the script, then I look at the script, then I don't like it, and sometimes I might write the script, but while writing, I don't think about it at all.
No, I don't mean that way. What I'm saying is, would you lend your craft, your skill, to something which is dedicated for the movie? Because there are big names.
I would, because I had a long meeting with many of the filmmakers, some big names, and it's in the works. So I don't have any opposition to that. But what I mean is, when I'm writing it, I'm not writing it with the intent of it being made into a movie. But later someone sees it and say, Arey, this will make a good movie. Rule Breakers was in fact shortlisted for Mammy. It was long-listed, in fact, not shortlisted, long-listed. From screen to movie adaptation, there's a new thing that has come up.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of filmmakers do, but that's their job. My job is to tell a good story, and that's what I focus on.
You spent quite considerable this thing on Mumbai, Bandra and Mumbai.
Yes.
So is that something done consciously, or just the plot needed it?
See, in my books, I always use places which are dear to me, places which I have lived in, places which matter to me, and my love for those places comes out in those books. For example, in 100 Little Flames, there's this very elaborate description of Pondicherry. And yesterday at Mr. Suri's residence, I met Manoj Das, and he was from Pondicherry. And we were very excited. I was, happily telling him, you know what? I have written about this. He said, Arey, you've written about this. And my love for the place just comes out. So Mumbai is another place where I have lived. And that old Bombay, which is Flora Fountain, and then you walk down, and there's this tunnel of books. And, my daughter said, Mama, I want to go to Bombay, because my daughter lives in Singapore. My son and my daughter both go to college there. And she read it and she said, I want to go to all these places. So that's on our wish list. I said, when you come, I'll take you for a trip, because this is where I lived for a while. I traveled in those electric trains. So it was very easy for me to place my character there.
Just open up the Audience, questions for them because we're going to come to the last session of this. So the audience wants to ask any specific question, do let us know. There are mics nearby. They come and help you with the questions.
Hi, Priti. This is Bathaina
Hello.
from UAE. My question is, do you have any translated books into Arabic?
No, I don't have any books translated to Arabic. I have one of my books translated to Turkish, but not yet in Arabic, and I'm hoping this visit would give me that opportunity.
Just a small question from you. As a
Yes.
reader, for us, it is a rebirth of Ankita or it's a return of Ankita?
Sorry?
For a reader like us, it's a rebirth of Ankita or it's a return of Ankita?
Rebirth or return?
Rebirth or return? I think that's up to you to decide. After you read the book, you would probably be able to decide whether it's rebirth or return. You'd probably be able to decide. I think at the end of the first book, she was reborn. So here the story continues. Because at the end of the book, she changes considerably who she is, you know. So here she continues her journey. So I would say it's continuation of the rebirth, probably.
Hi.
Hi.
Why is it a female character that you have chosen for this book? Is there a particular reason as a heroine?
So sometimes I choose male characters, sometimes I choose female characters. So life is what you make it. I chose a young girl because I guess I could, relate. So I was talking about a very serious subject and I had done tons of research to write it. So I said if I choose a young college girl, I would be able to, reach out to probably the young crowd. So some of my protagonists are male. In 100 Little Flames, it's the old grandfather and it's Aman. And in one you cannot have, there's a male character. But here it just so happens that the protagonist is female. There's no specific reason for it.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi. So I just would like to ask you a question related to one of your novels. In one of your novels, you have mentioned a story about a kid who visits his grandfather and how there's no Wi-Fi and how to connect, right?
Yes.
So in today's world, as you see, social media has kind of taken over.
Yes.
So how do you feel it's important to detox yourself once in a while from social media and kind of spend your time with family? So what is your take on it? I mean, being a writer, you need to be present on social media as well. And how do you kind of balance it with the kids and with the social media and everything in general?
I feel it's extremely important to detox because only when you detox, you get in touch with yourself. And that's what my character Aman in 100 Little Flames faces. And that book incidentally got a 5 on 5 star rating by the New Asian Review, something that I'm proud of. And how do I balance it? My kids don't live with me anymore. Both are in college, both are abroad. So my time is my own. And what helps me is the Bangalore traffic. So honestly, because I'm stuck in traffic and either I'm reading or I'm responding to comments. And when I'm writing, I switch off my internet. I don't, because I've done my research, I've done my characterization. And I think it's important because it's only like when you're constantly on social media, you have this FOMO, fear of missing out. You see someone, nobody will post the sad stuff on social media. Let's face it, they'll all post happy stuff. You know, oh, I went to this party, I'm holidaying in Honolulu, I'm doing this. So you feel that everybody's life is going great and your life isn't going great, and that's not what it is. So social media is important, yes, but you can also use it for good things. For example, on my Instagram, I'm sharing the books that I'm reading. So that's something nice. So while it helps you stay connected, please switch off from social media for at least half an hour, sit in silence, think about nothing. When people hear the word meditation, they get scared. I meditate every day. It's nothing but just sitting still and focusing on your thoughts. I practice yoga. And I think it's extremely important to do that. And I'm glad you asked this question. As a writer, I believe it's important to detox from social media.
I think we've come to this session. Is anybody else? The last question in that case. We're sort of running short of time.
Srini, I'm not a regular book reader, but looking at the responses you have given, I'm really thrilled that I should buy and read your book. But in addition to that, can you say 3 reasons what one would benefit when someone reads your book, this book at least?
this book, you will look at life. See, what I can do is rather than my saying, all you have to do is go and read the reviews on Amazon. You will see what people have said about the book and probably you will get the answer. But, I was showing this to Ravi. So the messages that I get are incredible. So the kind of messages that I have the kind of reviews that I have got, this book changed my life. It taught me how to live. I can't thank you enough for having written this book. I am going to, make a note of everything that's written here and paste it on my wall so it inspires me every day. These are the kind of messages that I'm reading out, which people are sending me. So, all you have to do is go on social media and have a look at the reviews of the book and decide for yourself. So,
I'd like to formally close this in-conversation period. Now there's a proper thing to sign books on the rear.
Yes.
If you can just queue up, the author will come and sign those books. So I'd be grateful if you could queue up and...
Yeah, whoever wants to pick up books, I would be happy to sign. The books are on sale outside and I shall be signing books shortly.
I'd like to thank the ambassador, the organizers, and the audience for having sat through this. Thank you very much, Preeti.
Thank you so much to the Indian Embassy. Thank you so much to the ambassador. Thank you so much to Smita and to you as well. It was wonderful being here. Thank you so much, guys.